That's a real slow burn, but it's a zombie movie, and eventually zombies gonna zombie.
That's right.
And they do.
It's such a magnificent and unique piece of art. I'm so eager to see what she does next.
Exactly. I could not believe that they're able to sustain the very simple catalyst for the story for a full 90 minutes, but they do.
Oh my God, they do. This is the most just anxiety-inducing film I've seen in ages.
Welcome in the first Fright Club of 2025, but we're not ready to let go of 2024. Not just yet. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from madwolf.com. And man, we're going to talk really in depth about the top 10, but we've got a bunch.
We do.
It's a pretty good year.
It was a pretty good year. Yeah, every time we talked about it, we're like, maybe we should do 25. Maybe we should do 30.
Maybe we should
30.
check the rules, and since we make the rules, we went to 30. So, yeah, good stuff here. And so just go quickly through some of our from 30 on up to 10.
Well, at number 30 is the first of two Spider films that made the final list, Sting. Also, Azrael, A Quiet Place Day One, Mads, and Daddy's Head.
Yeah, those Mads and Daddy's Head, those may have slipped under the radar for some people, but definitely worth checking out. Those are cool. And then at 25, Immaculate. And there's a lot of conversation, I think, through the year that I saw. Mainly, it seemed to me like most people of the two preferred the first Omen, where
Right.
we are the reverse.
Right,
We prefer Immaculate better. Yeah, that ending really goes for it. I mean, and that's what makes it.
Yes.
Really. So Immaculate at 25, and then 24, Speak No Evil, the English language remake of the foreign language film. And this one, I mean, they both pack that punch, that gut punch. And this one, for an American remake, pulls it off pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too.
And 23, Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, Woman of the Hour. Then at 22, Sleep. And 21, The Devil's Bath.
At number 20, and this was a polarizing one, but we really enjoyed it, In a Violent Nature.
Yeah, that one is brutal.
It
couple of really memorable kills. Also memorable at number 19, a real indie, in fact, free on YouTube. And it was been free on YouTube since the beginning, really.
Watch it.
So watch it, yeah, a movie called Milk and Cereal.
At 18, this was a really fun vampire movie called The Vortilac. And then at 17, Handling the Undead. That's an emotional one.
Yeah, it is. That's a real slow burn, but it's a zombie movie, and eventually zombies going to zombie.
That's right.
And they do. And
That's right.
Yeah, I really like that one.
And then at number 16, another one that we really loved called Stop Motion.
Oh, yeah. At 15, another polarizing, even between the two of us, I think, Cuckoo.
Yeah.
It lost me in the third act. I was in fact, it has one of my favorite jump scares of the year. But it lost me a bit toward the end, but it really didn't lose you.
No, I liked it all the way through.
Okay, and then at 14, Alien Romulus.
Good
Thought that
one.
was a good addition to the Alien franchise. At number 13, a lot of fun. Maybe not the scariest movie this year, but man, it was fun. Late Night with the Devil. Enjoyed that. And then a very impressive sequel at number 12, Smile 2. Really impressed with that.
Yep.
In fact, I think I liked it better than Smile 1,
I think I did
to be honest
too.
with you. And then at number 11, another spider movie. Good year for spider movies.
Good year.
Infested.
Such a creepy movie.
At number 11. So that's good. A quick look at number 30 to number 11. Definitely some good stuff in there. But we're here for the top 10, so let's get into it. At number 10, the story of a model becoming obsessed with a high-profile murder trial. It's called Red Rooms. This is a foreign language film, and it's available on Prime now, so you can check it out if you haven't seen it yet.
Do it. It's French language, although it's a Canadian film. You follow this woman who is an incredibly good online poker player, actually, and that tells you more than you might expect from how quickly she thinks, what she's willing to do, how well she handles herself in crisis-type situations, and what she's doing with her non-online poker playing time is kind of stalking the serial killer story. This movie, I don't want to say any more than that because it is constantly surprising and it needs to be. It's alarming. And the thing that I was the most impressed by is how well this film keeps you riveted even during the scenes where basically you're just watching somebody key something into a computer.
Yeah, that can be tough to do.
It can be.
Yeah.
This one, man, nail biter all the way through.
The writer and director is Pascal Plante. And he was intrigued. He said he was intrigued by serial killer groupies.
Yeah.
And purposely took the story away from the actual killer
Right.
To the groupies and gave it a female point of view.
Yeah, and it is fascinating what the movie does with that idea.
And it's led by two great performances, Juliette Garapé in the lead and then Laurie Babin as well.
Yeah, they were so great. And that Garapé, she's basically on screen almost every single second of the film. And it's so fascinating because, you get the feeling that this character is perhaps on the spectrum. I mean, she's so interior. And she never lets you in on what she's thinking, which is one of the reasons the movie is so fascinating, and one of the reasons that all of the surprises work as well as they do.
Yeah, so it also has the feel of a thriller and psychological horror, if you like that, and I do a lot. This fits the bill. Again, it's on Prime now, and it's our number 10 in our countdown of horror for 2024. It's Red Rooms. At number 9 is a psychic medium attempting to uncover the truth behind her sister's murder at the site of a crime. It's called Oddity.
You said I should visit on Danny's anniversary.
The thought of another patient showing up at the front door here.
Would you allow them in?
Of course not.
My sister would never allow a strange man into her home in the middle of the night.
She's saying some weird things to me, Dad.
She's clearly not well.
Do you mind staying out here alone at night?
I'm just telling you what I saw.
Daddy's ghost. My dead wife is not haunting this house.
What is this?
Put them back!
This is not real. As I've always believed, there's nothing that can't be explained.
This is the latest from writer-director Damien McCarthy, who made Caveat a couple of years ago, which I'm sure made our list that year.
Yeah.
Just one of my favorite new filmmakers in the genre. Caveat, I think, was scarier, but Oddity is maybe an all-around better film. It's so beautiful. It's so gorgeously shot. The way he uses color and light and space is amazing. I also always love a good creepy twin film, and this is that.
Yeah, it's Carolyn Bracken playing twins, mainly the medium, Danny, who is blind.
Yeah.
And she's out to solve the murder of her sister. And you get this sort of an early prologue that's real creepy when this weird-looking dude comes to the door. And they don't have a peephole. They've got like a little... You can see his face.
Yeah, but really mainly his eyes.
His eyes, yeah. And he says... You got to let me in because you don't know it, but there's someone in your house, and I'm here to help you. And, of course, she does it. He looks crazy. What's she going to do? Well, it turns out then she gets murdered. So there's a whole backstory there. And I admit when I was watching this, I was a little preoccupied when the actor who plays the dead woman's husband, Gwillem Lee. And I knew him. I know that face, but it's because he wasn't under a mountain of hair. It's the guy that plays Brian May in Bohemian Rhapsody. So once I had that, I'm like, okay, now we can settle down and watch the movie. But there's definitely a backstory that's the blind medium, has to uncover. And there's some creepy stuff going on, sort of. The Oddity, the title, I think, comes into...
It's the name of her curiosity shop.
Yes, it's oddities and curiosities, and there are things in her shop that get called back to, and let's leave it at that. But it's creepy, and it has a final reveal that's a bit. I think you said it was
Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah, little Tales from the Dark Side, a little Twilight Zone-y. But there's some cool, creepy stuff going on.
And it looks so good. It's got such a great atmosphere. The performances are really wonderful. The lead is also in a movie that came out a couple of years ago that we liked really well called I Am Not Your Mother. And it took me a minute to realize it was the same person because she's so feral in that film, and she's so not in this movie, very calm, and she does a great job too of creating two completely separate characters, because the one sister, the medium, she's very reserved, whereas the other one is just all warmth and humor and charm, and I just loved this movie.
And there's also the house where they live and where the murder happened. and where the sister just sort of shows up and says, I'm staying here, it's very isolated. You get the feeling that it's a big house and there's very few people in it, but then there are things in it. So you have a real isolated feel as well.
We haven't even mentioned the giant, creepy wooden man.
Well, I don't know if we were going to mention him or not, so okay,
Well, so
I'll
there
let you
is
mention
one.
him.
We won't say any more about it, but there is a giant, creepy wooden man.
Yeah, there is. And that first reveal, you're like, what's going on there? But yeah, very creepy, and it gets that mood across very well, and a bit of a supernatural horror. If the last one, Red Rooms, was psychological, this is more supernatural and very effective. And it's on Shudder now, so
That's
you can
right.
check that out
And
as
I
well.
think Caveat might also be on Shudder now.
All right. So you can check them both out from Damian McCarthy, the writer-director here of our number 9 horror flick of the year, Oddity. Up to number 8, another one that had a lot of horror fans talking this year. In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. The latest from Oz Perkins, Longlegs.
I know you're not afraid of a little bit of dark. Because you are the dark.
Do you still say your prayers? Never once. They scared me. Hello?
You could have made nice with me. But you didn't. And that has led to all of this. I'll be waiting.
I know a lot of people are excited about Monkey, which is the next Oz Perkins film, and it's based on a Stephen King adaptation, and so that's very exciting. We were excited that he made so much money. This movie made so much money because hopefully it will convince people to go back and see all of his other films, every one of which is brilliant.
Yeah.
I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House.
The Blackcoat's
The
Daughter.
Blackcoat's Daughter.
Probably my favorite.
Gretel and Hansel.
Yeah.
Yes.
They all look fantastic. This one looks fantastic. And, of course, it got a lot of headlines early because of Nicolas Cage's involvement and what he looks like, which is very creepy. Right away, it has a lot of Silence of the Lambs going on.
Yes, some Zodiac,
Yep.
maybe a little Seven. It's got a lot of that sort of 90s police procedural thriller kind of a thing.
And I would say of Oz Perkins' films, it seemed more mainstream storytelling to me. You'll see those more well-recognized story beats. And I'll be honest, not all of them worked for me. I think this movie worked better for you than me, although I still liked it as opposed to our son, who wrote a manifesto about why he hated this movie.
He texted us after he saw it, and it was like a 6-scroll text for me to get to the very bottom of it. He did not care for it. So it's also a bit polarizing, apparently. But I think, first of all, it looks glorious, as all of Oz Perkins' films do. It just is amazing to look at. The performances are all great. Nicolas Cage and Michael Monroe in a lead. Blair Underwood, nice to see you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
also
Alicia Witt, and Alicia Witt, of course, who I had a trouble recognizing
she
right
looks very
away.
different, yeah.
She looks different, but she is great. And then a favorite of ours, Kiernan Shipka, who goes back to the Blackcoat's Daughter with Oz Perkins.
She's got a very small part, but it is incredibly memorable and really just searing. And the movie, one of the things that I think is interesting about the movie is that it does have these really recognizable story beats from any kind of a police procedural, especially the sort of the height of those in the 90s. But the tale underneath of it is very sort of amorphous and wobbly and vaporous in a fascinating way to me. I think you need to pay attention to the things you don't think you need to pay attention to. Like, the structure is there, but it's almost sleight of hand because it's not the movie you think it is.
Right.
But that all worked for me. It's not my favorite Oz Perkins, but I love all 4 so far. So I certainly highly recommend it.
Yeah, and I understood some of the chatter about this film, some of the the points that some horror fans where it had problems with it, leaps of logic, I guess, which I agreed with, but I don't agree with the term plot hole because I think that's a term that's overused. A plot hole is when a movie contradicts itself within the movie, which doesn't happen here. Now, are there leaps of logic? Yes. And it's up to you whether you want to suspend that enough. And for me, there were points where,
it's
but
funny.
not always.
I think that in a film like Black Coat's Daughter, because you don't have that recognizable structure, you don't see it as a plot hole. But here, because he has created this recognizable structure, you expect everything else to kind of follow suit. And it doesn't, because that's not really his style. But I think it makes it seem more like something's missing because you're expecting it to be very lockstep, and it's not.
It's not. And then, of course, Cage. The look is something else, and just very, very, very creepy, and unlike anything he's done. The psychological nature and the creepiness of his serial killer is really, really something. He creates the look, of course, from the makeup and hair department, but
the voice,
the aura, is really, really impressive and so creepy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And then Alicia Witt also. I mean, we mentioned her already, but she's so strong in this movie.
She is, and that is number 8 on our list. That's Long Legs, latest from Oz Perkins, as we look forward to Monkey. Up at number 7, well, another one that was a bit polarizing this year. A teenager just trying to make it through life in the suburbs is introduced by a classmate to a mysterious late-night TV show. This is I Saw the TV Glow.
It's our destiny.
How can I have a destiny?
Something's wrong. This isn't how life is supposed to feel. Tell me you know it's true.
Maddie, it's just the suburbs.
Seems like you're always somewhere else lately.
Maddie disappeared without a trace. All they found was her TV set burning in the backyard. I told myself I made the right choice. What if I really was someone else? Very far away on the other side of a television screen.
So this is Jane Schoenbrun's follow-up to We're All Going to the World's Fair, which we enjoyed.
Yeah.
But compared to just how assured this film is, I mean, this film is so impressive because it's not telling you anything like a story you've ever heard or seen before. It is such a unique experience, and it's so sad.
Yeah.
You know, it's so heartbreaking, this movie, and at the same time, so beautiful.
Yeah, and this is definitely a mood as well, and it's led by 2 great performances. Justice Smith is Owen, and then Bridget Lundy Payne is Maddie, and they come together as outsiders through the love of this TV show, because Owen, as a teenager, he's kept very much under the thumb of he's not allowed much freedom.
No.
And he finds a way to carve some out by telling some fibs and connecting with the Maddie character through their love of this TV show.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that? And it's just, there's a feeling of it's beautifully photographed, but there's still, and you like to see these isolated people come together, but there's a feeling of dread throughout the whole thing.
There is, and just such a deep and poignant longing.
Yeah, there is. And then our favorite Danielle Deadweiler, small part, and then Fred Durst, who's had a year, although here he's not playing himself like he did in Y2K. He shows up in a small part as well. But it leads to quite a memorable finale that is an end reveal, I guess, that maybe doesn't reveal as much as people who like things tied up would like it to, but I think it really feels right for this movie.
It's such a magnificent and unique piece of art. I'm so eager to see what she does next.
Exactly, because it's clear she got a bigger budget this time.
That's right.
But definitely encourage you to go back and see We're All Going to the World's Fair.
For sure.
Because you could definitely see the potential there, and a filmmaker who has a vision and is given a little bit more of the tools to work with this time, and you can see that potential coming to fruition. And this is available now. It's on Prime. It's on Max. So a couple of chances to catch that, a couple of platforms to catch it streaming now. Definitely recommended. It's our number 7 of the year in horror. I Saw the TV Glow. Moving up now to number 6. 2 young religious women are drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man. It's Heretic.
We just need to go home.
I won't keep you if you wish to leave. But I want you to choose which door to go through based on your faith.
What does this have to do with us leaving?
Everything.
I think that we're being studied.
It will make your hearts beat faster. It may even make you want to die. Do not be afraid. You will witness a miracle.
This is from writers and directors Scott Beck and Brian Woods. They wrote, I think, maybe the first 2 Quiet Place movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clever. It really starts out by bringing up some big ideas in a clever way, and then it settles into more conventional horror trappings. But it's fun. It is fun, and it's led by an incredible performance from Hugh Grant.
Yeah, I love seeing Hugh Grant enter his villain stage. And this is the first horror villain that he's tackled, and man, with aplomb. He's so perfect in this role. He just seems to relish every line that he delivers.
Yeah, because he's sort of leaning back on his own persona and having fun with it and having some winks about it, coming off as so harmless early on and just friendly and let's talk. And then slowly but surely, these girls realize they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And there's a real puzzle. You know, his house is made up with these traps and these stairs and different rooms and how they're going to get out of it. And early on, like I said, the script brings up some big ideas and very interesting ideas about religion. And different religions. And then at the end, of course, it also has a message about religion, but it's still, to get there, it does lean back on more conventional horror beats, and that's fine. There is one moment, I'm not going to say that talking about suspending disbelief, but it's still fun. It didn't take away from the enjoyment of it, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's not just Hugh Grant, who's very good, but also Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, who play the 2 Mormon girls who are going around, doing their duty and talking about the religion.
They're great.
They're very good as well. And it's pretty much that 3-person show.
Oh, yeah, almost exclusively.
Yeah, almost. There's another characters here and there, but it is interesting and fun. And in the end, the final, I guess the final moral is a little bit more simplified than you think it's going to be at the beginning.
Right.
Because you're like, ooh, wow, what's it have to say here? But it's not that it's wrong.
No,
it's
and
just that maybe their expectations become a little lofty in the early going.
Right. They do, I think, the writing paint themselves into a corner that they don't entirely successfully get themselves out of, I don't think. But that doesn't take away from these performances are so good.
Yeah.
And it's just God, Hugh Grant is wonderful.
He is. He really is. And it's fun. And it does get into, even though it has psychological thriller elements about it as well, it still can qualify as horror because there's some bloodletting involved before they get out of this. And that is our number 6 horror film of the year, Heretic. And it's available now on Prime. Let's move up to the top 5 now, and we talked a little bit ago about the directorial debut from Anna Kendrick. We enjoyed that, Woman of the Hour. Well, at number 5 is the directorial debut from Zoe Kravitz. When tech billionaire Slater King meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala, he invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on his private island. Strange things start to happen, and Frida questions her reality. It's Blink Twice.
The legendary parties of Slater King. Blink twice if I'm in danger.
Are you having a good time?
feel like we're forgetting, like, a lot of stuff.
There's something weird going on.
Something's making us forget. Where's Jess?
Who's Jess?
Who's there?
I'm going for the phones. Keep a lookout. Oh my God.
What are we gonna do about you?
We need to find out what's really going on.
It's a really special place.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz directed this and co-wrote it as well.
And it was originally called Pussy Island. And apparently somebody decided somewhere that they couldn't release it with that title. And to be honest with you, I actually prefer Blink Twice. I love the scene that title comes from, and I think that it doesn't give away as much.
It does not give away as much, no.
No, and this movie is so angry and smart and clever and worthwhile. I really, really, really enjoyed the darkness and the humor in this one, and I was surprised. Now, I mean, I don't dislike Channing Tatum, and I think he's good in comedies. I think he's not good in dramas. I haven't seen him in a horror movie before, so he is perfect. He is just so spot on as this tech bro who's, sorry for whatever his past indiscretions might be, and he's just so perfect in the center of this. And that it allows everything else to just really, he's just this great gravitational pull for the rest of the story. All the performances are so good.
Yeah, it's a great cast. Frida is played by Naomi Ackie, who played Whitney Houston, and that's a movie, Want to Dance with Somebody, a few months back. But yeah, the rest of the cast, you got Christian Slater and Aaliyah Shawkat, Haley Joel Osment, and Adria Arjona, who we saw earlier this year in Hitman as well. Simon Rex, Gina Davis, Kyle MacLachlan. So there's a lot of familiar faces here, but really assured directorial effort from Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, loved it. I really, really enjoyed this movie.
And like another movie that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, angry, an angry statement, and unabashedly so.
Yeah, and because it's true, and in fact, it's funny. It's now, several months later, more obviously true than it was when it came out.
Yeah, this one is streaming now. It's Blink Twice, number 5 on our list of best horror of the year. Up to number 4 now, a horror thriller where nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree, Strange Darling.
So I'm gonna have to ask you a question. Are you a serial killer?
What did you just say? Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Can you help me, please?
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
This is from writer-director J.T. Molnar, really his first big release. He wrote some things, had some shorts, but boy, this one puts him on the map because this one is one of those that you're almost afraid to talk about because you don't want to give anything away.
That's right.
It's almost a two-person show, pretty close between these two great performances, Kyle Gallner, who we always love, and Willa Fitzgerald as they go back and forth after this one-night stand.
Yeah, I tell you what, she is spectacular in this movie, and there's a lot going on for her to tackle, and in every scene, she's just magnificent. And Kyle Gallner, also I think it's again, we don't want to tell you anything about the story. It's told in chapters for good reason, and Kyle Gallner's character undergoes quite a transformation between the beginning of the film and the end of the film, and he handles that really, really well. It's shot gorgeously. There are some really fun cameos.
There are. Yeah, Barbara Hershey and Ed Begley Jr. specifically pop up. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that this movie is fun. It's fun to uncover it and find out the surprises and that go against your own, that sort of work against your own expectations because I think Molnar plays on what you think you know because you've seen or you think you've seen movies like this.
Right.
So you assume X and you assume Y, and he plays with that.
Yeah, he does. Really well.
Yeah, really, really well, as it leads to some surprises and some bloody surprises.
Yes.
And then you go back, and it's one of those, it's almost one of those where you kick yourself because, now why didn't I see this? Well, because you assume certain things.
Yeah, it's
you
another
just
reason.
do.
Yeah, another reason that is told out of sequence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of times you think, well, why do they do that? When somebody like Tarantino does it, the usual school of thought is to say that not one piece of this is any more important than the other.
Right.
So we'll put them on equal footing. But this one, I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But then you think about why is it told in chapters, and it does make sense. And it just let it work on you, I guess, and don't try to outsmart yourself and just enjoy it. And you've got these two great performances. Oh, and we can't forget to mention this is the first feature as cinematographer for Giovanni Ribisi. After a couple of shorts and music videos, he jumps into the big leagues, and well done. This looks great, too. A bloody, twisty ride for sure. And this one is also streaming now, and it is number 4 on our list of top horror of the year, Strange Darling. Up to number 3 now, and this one is not just streaming, but also available for free on Tubi. It's Jesus and Maria, a couple going through a difficult time in their relationship, and they have just become parents. To shape their new life, they decide to buy a new coffee table, a decision that will change their existence. It's the coffee table.
Les va a aportar felicidad al hogar.
Es una mierda.
¿Tú estás por la mesita? ¿En serio? ¿Qué está pasando?
This is from a co-writer and director Kaye Casas. I hope I pronounced that right. And yeah, something as simple as buying a coffee table, which when they buy it is kind of funny.
Yep.
But after that, it's not funny at all. And it's one where I could not believe that they're able to sustain the very simple catalyst for the story for a full 90 minutes, but they do.
Oh my God, they do. It's just such an unsettling film, everything about it. And part of the reason is that it's set up, the beats of it are comedy beats. Specifically, it's structured like a sitcom, and it answers all of those, but where the punchline would come in, rather than making you laugh, it usually in a comedy, then the punchline of it breaks the tension, like, haha, that's how he broke the tension. And instead, every time that punchline moment comes, it ramps the tension up one more notch. This is the most just anxiety-inducing film I've seen in ages, but also the performances are so wonderful. They're so wonderful.
Yeah, led by David Pareja is Jesus.
Oh my God, he's so good.
Estefania de los Santos is Maria, and yeah, the tension, especially when there's a side plot about a little girl who is a neighbor and coming to the door, and at one point, and then she's got her dog, and oh man, the tension is incredible.
Yeah, and there is a little bit of dark humor in the film, which
there definitely is,
because of the actual subject matter is unsettling. Like the fact that there's humor here almost makes you feel worse about the movie. It's just brilliant. It is like nothing else. It is like no other movie.
Yeah, and we talk about in some movies where it's effective, when the audience knows something that the characters don't.
Yeah.
Well, here we and one character know something that the rest of the characters don't.
Right.
And that's where the tension.
Oh yeah.
Is it going to get known by everybody else? And then, my God, what happens then? It's crazy. It's crazy how they mine that for 90 effective minutes, but they do.
Oh my!
It's one of those, you just see it to believe it, and how well it is constructed, and how well they fit in this comedic aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
To something that's not comedic at all.
No.
It just has a bit of a subversive streak to it, and that is available, like we said, now on streaming and on Tubi.
Yeah, watch it.
Yes, The Coffee Table at number 3 for the year. Oh, just 2 biggies left now. Let's start at number 2. A fading celebrity takes a black market drug, a cell-replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. It's The Substance.
Have you ever dreamt
of a better version of yourself. Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
Pretty girls should always smile.
Coralie Fargate, who made Revenge a couple of years ago.
That was a bloody trip, wasn't it?
It was. It was a bloody, messy trip. And it was so amazing. And then we couldn't wait to see what she did next. And man, she took it up a notch.
She did. Now, this movie actually was just named the best movie of the year by the critics group that we're a member of here in Columbus, the Columbus Film Critics Association.
I'm so proud of us for
yes,
that. I'm
voting,
so proud of us for that.
Voting not only this movie as the top movie of the year, but also the screenplay as the best original screenplay and the best lead performance of the year.
That's right.
We gave it to Demi Moore.
That's right. I think for directing as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, directing as well.
Yeah, so pretty close to a sweep.
Big fans here in Columbus. And, you know, you could say Revenge for sure was an angry movie.
Yeah.
This one is too.
Yeah, it is.
But more of there's also a comedic aspect to this movie,
yes.
and very Cronenberg body horror.
Yeah.
But man, it's used in such a way that makes the statement come down hard.
Yes, yeah. There's not a ton of subtext in the film, and that's fine. You know, and I love the approach because it is body horror and comedic in many ways, body horror, and not just Cronenberg, but mainly Brian Yuzna's society is all over this movie, and in such a glorious way. And Demi Moore, I can't imagine anybody better. And, you know, I don't think I've ever seen her better. I've never seen her deliver a performance quite like this, and a lot is asked of her.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm sure she feels so much of what this movie is about.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the age where I'm sure she has felt this
Yes.
in a Hollywood, in an industry that probably feels to her, you're too old now.
Right.
You see a little bit of the same themes. It's not a horror movie, but there's a movie this year called The Last Showgirl, where
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson, another classic beauty that is now quote unquote aged out. That movie deals with that as well in a different way. So you can just feel that she's living it.
She knows it.
She
Yeah,
knows it
this.
exactly, and I think that was indispensable, probably.
Right, because she plays an Oscar winner who, for the last many, many years, has a TV show, a fitness show, and her agent, played as smarmily as possible by Dennis Quaid.
And his name is Harvey.
Yeah, his name is Harvey. And over a plate that you'll never forget of shrimp cocktails, he tells her basically that she's off. She's off the show now because it's her 50th
You had a
birthday.
good run.
Yeah, but you're 50 today, so
Yeah.
we need something new. And then, you know, she eventually succumbs to this notion of the substance. And then she shares a life, right, with Margaret Qualley, who plays Sue.
The new star, the new kid in town.
That's right. And it's sad and smart, and it's such an incredibly impressive take on how, and it's the funniest thing is that it's not about shame at all or guilt. It's about how bad it is when you accept the male gaze as
validation,
reality. And you know, the film is angry with us for doing that, right? The men they're just buffoony side characters. They're not
who are older than she is, but she's the one who has to go out to pasture.
But what's interesting, and I think insightful, is that they don't actually matter in this movie. They don't matter, and their opinion doesn't matter.
Right.
It's not real. And I think that that's important. They're all just a bunch of jackasses and jackals, and I love that too, because there's so much about the screenplay that is smart and honest, and over the top at the same time.
Yeah.
And I love it, but also over the top, the gore, the body horror.
Oh boy.
Oh,
way
just
over the top.
Gloriously so.
Yeah.
Just gloriously so.
In fact, we have to tell this story again, and apologies if we've already told it, but when we saw the screening with a bunch of people, there was a guy, I don't know, a row or two in front of us. When the last big final reveal piece of body horror kicked in, jumped out of his seat like someone kicked him.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, what did you think we were going to see?
That's right, because it wasn't going to be anything
No,
good.
it wasn't. But, yeah, it's so effective, so smart, like you said, in the screenplay, because it takes something that is an age-old parable. You're handed a gift, but, there are rules for this gift.
Yeah.
Do you think the rules are going to be abused? I think they're going to be abused, and then there's a steep price to pay.
Yeah.
So it just takes that and gives it a more modern, urgent twist.
Yeah, and it's just, right, every time they call, right, they'll call back up to the people who gave them the substance. And she's doing this, and it's you. It's all you. Everything is you.
Right.
And it's a fascinating.
And then the voice always says, do you want to stop? No.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's just fascinating.
It really
it's just
is.
so expertly made.
It really is. And now we're, as we were after Revenge, we're excited for whatever she does next.
Yes.
Because she's got it rolling. And that is number 2 on our list of horror for 2024. It's The Substance, now streaming. Just remember, Monstro Elisisu. Only one more left to go, and you've probably guessed by now. It's a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and the terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. Nosferatu.
There is a devil in this world, and I have met him.
But you could never please me as he could. I'm ready.
Here is one that is still in theaters, and we can't recommend enough to see it in theaters, even if it was available for streaming today. See it in the theater.
Do it.
Because we saw it both ways. And after we saw it, we got to see a preview screening at home on the computer screen, and then we immediately knew, oh no, we have to see this on the big screen, and it's so gothically beautiful.
And, I think we fully expect the cinematographer who Eggers has
Jaron
worked with.
Blaschke.
Yeah, who Eggers has worked with a number of times. We expect him to get a nomination for cinematographer for this film. And he just, along with just Eggers, meticulous direction, evokes such a beautiful melancholy and a bit of madness as this young woman, who's the only one who's correct, by the way, who's treated, the way you are, and misunderstood and told to be quiet and strapped down, but she's right, and what's coming is not good. And there's been a lot, made of what the Count looks like. And it takes a second, but I super dig it, partly because he doesn't look like any other vampire that I can think of, and partly because what he looks like, given the time period and given sort of the Carpathian Mountains and, it seems quite fitting.
Yeah, it does. Bill Skarsgård plays Count Orlok this time, and the voice as well takes a little getting used to, and you hear him a lot sooner than you see him.
Yeah.
You don't see him in full for about 45 minutes, and it's pretty striking, and it's like you say, it's different from the other Nosferatus that we've seen, like the little naked mole rat kind of guy.
Yeah.
No, this is not that guy.
No,
this
doesn't
is
look
different.
like Dracula either. Any of the Draculas, he's definitely not that aristocratic count with
Yeah.
It's just unique.
Yeah, it is unique, and of course it is. Co-writer and director Robert Eggers. Of course, he has to share some writing credits because this is an age-old story.
Yeah.
But if you know Eggers, you know The Witch, The Northman, The Lighthouse, you probably know going in what type of treatment he's going to give this, and it's definitely in line with an Eggers film. I mean, you can definitely tell. It's beautifully shot, like we said, but also it's fleshed out. The story is fleshed out because this one goes about 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is, of course, about at least 45 minutes longer than the original Nosferatu. But the characters are deeper. There's a very important prologue. Don't be late. Don't be late to the movie.
No.
There's a very important prologue because there's a lot here specifically involving the character of Ellen Hutter. It's not Harker this time. The couple is Ellen and Thomas Hutter, and Thomas is played by Nicholas Hoult, who's having a great year, and Lily Rose Depp is Ellen. And yeah, there's a very important prologue, but her character specifically is really, in many ways, the heart of this movie. It's her movie.
It is.
Because it ties into the themes, some of the themes we saw in The Witch, the hysteria of the time around female sexuality. That comes into play not only between the couple, I mean, they're still very much newly romantic, but then the connection between the Count and Ellen from the prologues, what introduces how they have this connection. And there's definitely some of that hysteria on the power that a woman's sexuality was given back then, something akin to witchcraft.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that relationship, Werner Herzog made something of that in his version of Nosferatu, and I think it comes closest to what Coppola did when he made Bram Stoker's Dracula back in the 90s, except that this is much more of a feminist tale. It's a retelling really from her point of view, and it's fascinating the way her character has depth and agency, but the same with in this case it's Hutter, whereas in a lot of them it's Harker. That's a character that in most films is just a toss away nothing, and not only is Nicholas Hoult magnificent, but he's really given something to do.
Yes.
And I love the way he brings this character to life, and we haven't even mentioned Willem Dafoe yet.
Exactly. He is Professor Alban Eberhard von Franz. That's a great name.
Yeah, basically the Van Helsing character.
Yeah, and he is brought into the picture from the doctor who's treating Ellen when she gets, quote, hysterical. And the doctor's played by Ralph Ineson, of course, from The Witch, and Egger's favorite. But he was a student of Willem Dafoe's character, and Willem Dafoe's character has now gone off mainly just into the occult.
Yeah.
That is his specialty.
Yeah.
So he's brought in when they decide there's nothing more they can do for Ellen because she's such in the throes of these hysterics. You need somebody who works outside of medicine of the time.
And that's ether and straps.
Oh, my God. Give her more ether.
Oh,
Lord. So, Willem Dafoe comes in and just decides, no, she's possessed, and he's great. And then we haven't mentioned as well basically the Renfield character here, a character by the name of Herr Nock, Simon McBurney. He is great. You'll know his face. Also, Aaron Taylor-Johnson pops up as well. So it's a great, great cast, and everything about this just builds and builds to a story that is just, it's meatier. It just feels, again, I draw a comparison to the Suspiria remake.
Yeah.
I just thought it was heavier.
Yeah.
Have more weight to the story.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the character's deeper. I just appreciated it more on that level, beyond all the technical marvels and how it looks and how it sounds. But the characters are deeper.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's just a masterpiece, of filmmaking. It really is. I mean, all of his films are.
Yeah, he is quite the craftsman, and we've been fans since day one, and The Witch, and everything has been such a delight to experience because his films do feel like experiences.
They do.
They really do. And this one we've been looking forward to for so long since it was announced, really.
Right. And it's so hard for a film to live up to that kind of expectation, and this one did.
It really did. Not only a number one here, but also it was our overall number one on our list of best movies of the year, and so it's number one in horror, number one for the year, and one of our favorites, no doubt. And if you haven't seen it yet, please don't wait for streaming. You've got to experience this on the biggest screen, and I believe you will find it in some IMAX screens. So that one, jump on it. A lot of it is in black and white. I think a lot of people think it's totally in black and white. It's not.
No, a lot of it is.
A lot of it is in black and white.
But even the full color, it seems kind of leached of color. It's a lot of earth tones.
Yeah.
And so,
but beautiful.
Agreed.
So well done. Number one for the year. All around and for horror, it is Nosferatu. Okay, what do you think? What did we get wrong? What did we get right? What did we leave off? What did we miss? We always love to keep the conversation going. You can find us easily anytime. Mad Wolf Columbus on all the socials. Also got the somewhat new YouTube channel.
Yep.
That's out there as well. And the Fright Club podcast, the private group on Facebook. You want to join? We'd love to have you. We have some fun in there. Just send a request and boom, you'll be in. So lots of ways to keep in touch. We're wrapping up a great year of horror in 2024, and we look look forward to good stuff in 2025. And speaking of, we can look forward to the next Fright Club Live, which is coming up soon.
It is. It is coming up Friday, January 10th. We're going to watch the 2018 movie Possum. And we're going to talk about horror movies where someone comes home.
Ooh, frightful homecomings.
That's right.
And we also now, after the big victory by our Ohio State Buckeyes yesterday, we have a conflict because the next round of the college football playoff is going to be at the same time. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have to consult one of those old Flintstones episodes where Fred has to be in two places at the same time. How does he pull it off? We'll see if we can do it. But that's coming up for the next Fright Club Live. If you're in the Columbus, Ohio area, please come out. It's a blast. Always the second Friday of the month at Gateway Film Center. So keep in touch. Best wishes for a great new year in 2025. We'll talk again soon. And until then, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Happy New Year.
Hello, darling. This is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And stay frightful, my friend.